Hi, I'm Dave with Dave and Jen Ignite, and it's great to be with you today. We're working on another memory verse. We're marching through the book of Acts, and Acts 2:42 for chapter 2. This is a great verse. There are many verses, of course, that you could memorize, and I hope you will. But this one in particular is focusing on what we want to be devoted to. As followers of Jesus Christ, what are some things that God has said? Here's the areas, just a general direction for us. I hope you'll memorize this perhaps in a small group or with an accountability group. Maybe it's for a class. For some of you, I know that's going to be the case. You're working on memorizing this for a class you're taking. And you can use all kinds of means. I hope you're doing this together. That's part of the blessing of being in a class where you have people who are doing the same thing you are at the same time. Okay, so watch this as a group or on your own, then encourage and hold each other accountable. Or you can just do just a couple of folks with accountability partners together. Acts 2:42. Acts 2:42 says this: they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Acts 2:42. Now, the advantage of that small group approach is you can have some fun with a whiteboard and memorize things that way. Acts 2:42. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. They devoted themselves. So this is a serious commitment. They devoted themselves. What are you devoted to? Are you devoted to, perhaps you're married, you're devoted to your spouse, you're devoted to your children, you're devoted to your church, you're devoted to God first and foremost above all of those. So they devoted themselves to, as followers of Jesus Christ, they devoted themselves to, let's erase one of these. Let's just start at the beginning. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching. Acts 2:42. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Acts 2:42. We're memorizing this. That's the plan here. Acts 2:42. Once again, with a nice dry erase board, you can just have some fun, and especially in a group. So we're going to get rid of the second one. There's a comma at the end of that second one. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Acts 2:42. Let's get rid of the third one. Breaking of bread. And that can mean having meals together. Some folks believe that's talking about the Lord's Supper. Either way, let's certainly devote ourselves to the privilege, the just wonderful opportunity to receive the Lord's Supper, but also to having meals together as followers of Jesus Christ, encouraging one another, just as you encourage one another on memorizing this. Acts 2:42, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to the fellowship, and to the breaking of bread. Excuse me, there's no and in there. To the breaking of bread and to prayer. So, it's okay. Just work on it. Memorize it. This is in the New International Version. Perhaps you memorized in a different translation and you have trouble making the transition. You make that decision whether you really need to make the transition or not. Did you memorize it in a translation that people can understand? If so, then you may just want to keep using that translation. For this particular video, it's NIV. Acts 2:42. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. There's their fourth thing. Acts 2:42. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. Acts 2:42. Well, by now in this video, you probably almost have this memorized. But if you don't have a whiteboard, we have a practice. Reach down and grab this. We have a practice that is very helpful, and that is to use what we call the four-sided coin. And it's any coin. We call it the four-sided coin because you use it with a 3x5 card or some other means to stay focused and write it down. Writing down the verse helps you to remember it. There's kinetic learning going on, the muscles, etc., with your brain interacting. So start just reading it. Acts 2:42, put the coin at the top, heads up, facing you. Just read it. Acts 2:42. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. Acts 2:42. They devoted themselves to those. Read it again. Coin to the left, coin at the bottom, coin to the right. Flip the coin over, and now you're going to flip the card over as well. So you've got this card. Acts 2:42. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching. And maybe that's all you get. Okay, turn it back over, look at it. Back over so you can't see it. Move the coin over. Repeat as much as you can of it. Take a look, check yourself. Back over, coin to the bottom. Acts 2:42. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. Acts 2:42. To the right, you check it. And then the third time around, back on heads, and you try and keep that card turned face down the whole time as you work around it. Question for you. What's your strongest area? They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, the breaking of bread, to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. Do you have one of those four areas that you're strongest at? Are you strongest at studying the scriptures and listening to the message on Sundays and putting that into practice? This is crucial. They devoted themselves to this. The apostles' teaching and to fellowship. Do you have troubles getting with other followers of Jesus? That's important. It is hugely important. We can't be solo Christians. Okay, sorry, start to preach. But we can't. We can't be Christians just out there on our own. We need the fellowship. We need the interaction. We need the friendships of one another. They devote themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread. Are you in that fellowship? Are you spending some time, on a close personal level with folks? Having a meal together is great for that. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. I confess, I discover as I put on more years in my life, I find prayer to be all the more crucial. And like so many of us, when I face a huge challenge, I find myself more heavily involved in my prayer life. And that's okay, praise the Lord for that. But let's get some balance to all four of these areas. Acts 2:42. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. So which one of those is your strong suit? Put that in the comments below, or maybe you answer the question, which one of these is the place I need to work the most? Where's the one I need to improve the most? What one needs attention? List those out. Make those comments below if you would. And if that's something you don't care to share, I get that, no problem. But find someone that you can have fellowship with that can help hold you accountable. Some mutual accountability there, part of this. If you find value in these videos, please click like, subscribe, and click on the bell so that you'll receive notifications as we post new videos. Thank you for watching all the way through to the end. God bless you. May it be so.